Greetings, welcome back to Black Bear News. Please remember to like the video and to make sure you're still subscribed. Covering, I don't know if this is adjacent or not to climate change. This is, the state of the world is one of growing upheaval. You have school strikers, you have Extinction Rebellion, you have revolutions, coups happening, and you have organic resistance growing. You have fake resistance growing. You have, all kinds of things happening. In the world is a much more chaotic place today than it was a few years ago, for sure. Because people are rightly pissed off and upset and rightly demanding a change, from the status quo that some people think is totally fine. Neoliberals are like, what imminent danger? Everything's cool. We have lots of money and we're making lots of money, and other people have lots of money, but unfortunately we're going to have to cut services to the poor because we don't have that much money. Okay. So, there are deficits. There are debts. There's only a limit to what we can provide people. And, there's climate change and all that. So that, you guys are going to have to buck up and, pay your pennies to deal with that as well. So, but as far as, the upper crusties, the rich and the powerful and the elites, no, we don't really need any large changes, and no thank you. But meanwhile, we're going to turn that screw just a little bit tighter today. So sorry about that. From Paris, more than 800,000 people march against Macron as strikes grip France. Transport workers bring country to standstill amid anger over pension changes. So you're messing with people's pensions. People worked hard for a long period of time. They paid into these pension plans. This is happening in the U.S., but nobody, people seem to be like, oh man, they're taking away our pensions. What are we going to do? I don't know. Just going to have to go get a job at Walmart, or I'm going to have to drive Lyft, or I don't know. It's not occurring to people to get out in the streets and really cause some havoc, but to each his own. More than 100,000 people have marched in cities across France as railway workers, teachers, and hospital staff held one of the biggest public sector strikes in decades against Emmanuel Macron's plans to overhaul the pension system. A nationwide transport strike brought much of France to a standstill and was expected to continue for the next few days as unions dug in, saying the president's pension changes would force millions of people to work longer or receive lower payments. Trains, metros, and bus services were severely hit. Some flights were canceled, many schools were closed, and the biggest challenge to Macron's reform agenda since Gilets jaunes, Yellow Vest anti-government protests erupted last year, and they are still going strong. That's a funny way to word that sentence, right? They made it seem like, oh, this thing that happened last year, remember that? This isn't a continuation of, that very protest movement. In Paris, police briefly fired tear gas during skirmishes with black-clad protesters on the edges of the trade union-led march in the early afternoon. Some protesters set fire to a storage trailer, smashed windows in a bus shelter, and overturned cars. Farters. They're not firefarters, they're firefighters. Put out small fires lit in bins. More than 6,000 riot police lined the route of the demonstration from Paris, Gare du Nord, to the east of the city, while groups of officers stopped people walking toward the demonstration and searched bags. By late afternoon, there had been more than 70 arrests and 9,000 searches. Riot police in Nantes, Western France, fired tear gas at masked protesters who hurled projectiles at them. The Paris march included hospital staff, electricity workers, firefighters, teachers, school pupils, as well as Gilets jaunes, protesters who had taken part in blockades on roundabouts earlier this year. Banners read, Macron out. Isabelle Jarivet, 52, who had worked as an administrator in a town hall north of Paris for 20 years, said it's a question of life or death for the French social system, which Macron is dismantling. So Macron is a good old-fashioned neoliberal. Someone that the entire Western world was like, yeah, Macron, yeah, we like that guy. Thumbs up to Macron. He appears to be on the left side of the neoliberal spectrum, but right, he's implementing these things are kind of like slowly chipping away at the social safety net, if you will, that France has had in place for a really long time, and other developed countries have had in place for a really long time. Kind of along the lines of what the Republicans try to do here in the States, and the Democrats are totally willing to help them as well, right? Obama at one point was like willing to do some cuts to Social Security and Medicare and other things, to bargain, to bipartisanship up with the GOP. And this has been going on for a while. Clinton, doing the same stuff. It's been 40 years of, a downward trend in social services, no matter whether there's a Democrat or a Republican. So it's, this neoliberal thing is not, all the lefties or the so-called liberals are like, yay, when their guy gets in, yay, we're about to get reamed. Aren't we so smart? Because, he's not as bad as the other guy. They believe in other things that are really cool that we like, but otherwise we're still going to get jacked for our pensions or whatever it might be, Medicare or food stamps or or here's some medical care, but you're going to have to pay for it. And if you don't pay for it, you're going to have to pay dearly for it, whether you can afford it or not. And if you don't, we're going to, give you a tax penalty. Does that sound good? Is that, helpful to you guys? Yeah? Come on. You love it, don't you? I hate Obamacare, personally. I can't stand it. It's the worst shit ever. I like having health care, but I don't really actually get to use it too much because I don't have any money. I don't have any time to go to the doctor because I'm too busy trying to get some money to pay my health care bill. And then there's these insane copays. If anything does happen to me, at what point am I going to really be able to use this shit? It's shit. It's a piece of shit. If you are somewhat comfortable, then it's totally great for you. You're probably like, yeah, this is awesome. But if you're not comfortable, if you're struggling to pay your bills, not so awesome. Anyways, rambling. The government argues that unifying the pension system and getting rid of the 42 special regimes for sectors ranging from rail and energy workers to lawyers and Paris opera staff is crucial to keep the system financially viable as the population ages. There's that argument again. Oh, it's not financially viable. Although you guys are paying, I know that Europeans pay an incredible rate and an incredible tax rate, so they're paying into. They know what they're paying for. That's why they're pissed off, right? Like they're paying a lot in taxes in order to get these services. Oh, but there's no money. What happened to the money? That's an argument used in the States too, and it's actual total bullshit. It's complete bullshit. The idea that Medicare or Social Security is going to be bankrupt soon. No. There's lots of money. If you manage it and continue to manage it correctly, if you keep funding it, it's fine. All of that is bullshit. And we have plenty of money to spend on the military. We have plenty of money to spend on other, subsidies of oil companies and farms and gas. I said that twice. Unions say introducing a universal system for all will mean millions of workers in both the public and private sectors must work beyond the legal retirement age of 62 or face a severe drop in the value of their pensions. The row cuts to the heart of Macron's presidential project and his pledge to deliver the biggest transformation of the French social model and welfare system since the post-war era. Ooh, yeah, they like their welfare system. They like their social, services. They like their free health care. They like their pensions. They like all the time off they get for, their 6-week vacations or whatever the hell. And their maternity leave, 2 or 3 months or 6 months maternity. They like that stuff. Because it's good. It's good for people. Macron has leaned toward a Nordic style of flexi security, in which, I love these names they give it, in which the labor market is loosened and the focus is on changing from a rigid work code to a society of individuals moving between jobs. Oh, less regulation. I don't know, this sounds kind of like Trump. It sounds kind of like what Trump wants to do, but just with a more acceptable face on it. Trudeau, Obama, Macron, like these guys are just well-spoken and they're well-educated and they look good in suits. They're really handsome. We want an ass fucking from somebody who looks good. Come on. We don't want to be fucked in the ass while somebody's making rude jokes and being on Twitter. Come on, guys. What a fucking joke. Anyways, went off the rails there at the end. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. If you'd like to support this channel, you can do so at the links below. Until next time, peace.